Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Stella Wembley interview on the Onstage podcast. As you see, I'm wearing a different hat because I wanted to match hers and my fedora. I
Exactly.
got like four of these. So Stella is a graduate from the Conservatorio de Musica San Pietro la Majella. Did I say it right?
Majella.
Majella
Yeah.
of Naples. Stella Wembley is a new rising star of the UK dark synth Gothic scene. She's an accomplished music producer, video director, composer, lyricist, multifaceted musician, and truly exceptional vocalist. With her captivating take on the genre, Stella leads listeners into a haunted realm, laying bare her soul through powerful and evocative deep lyrics. Her music is a psychodrama of tragedy and melancholic sensuality. Where'd this black cloud descending upon me from? Just kidding.
Mhm.
Her music is a psychodrama of tragedy and melancholic sensuality, singing powerfully yet with a hint of vulnerability. A visionary artist, Stella defies description and continues to enchant audiences worldwide. Welcome to the podcast. Pleased to meet you, Stella.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very
That was
welcome.
a great introduction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for setting up this interview. I really appreciate it. Um,
it's my pleasure. It's totally my pleasure. I love your content and I love your interviews.
oh, thank you so much. And let's give you a good one as well. I'd like to ask you, what inspired you to pursue a career in a dark synth gothic music scene? Can you go back to the beginning where it all started?
It's difficult to say when it started because it wasn't really planned. So I really didn't plan, to be in this music style. I was put in this category because my music sounds gothic, and my outfit is gothic, and everything basically matches that type of music style. But I never meant to be in that genre. In fact, I never listened to music gothic, like gothic music. I never listened to gothic music until I was put in this category, let's just say. I think that my lyrics have always been very dark and dramatic since I was a child. Since I was 10, I've been writing lyrics, not just songs. I've been writing poetry, and they always been quite dark, very personal, autobiographical, and dramatic, and with these themes of darkness, life, and death. And I think that when I discovered also different musical styles, I used to listen pop music, and actually I still do. I like different type of music. My tastes are very eclectic. So it's not like I listen to one thing. I listen to a lot of different type of music, a lot of different type of bands. I really don't care. Or I don't mind, the genre, as long as it resonates. As long as the song resonates with me, I listen to it. And I think that when I found out how my songs were, and also probably, yeah, hearing the feedback of people, and also I think that when I discovered a fantastic band that I always listen, is my favorite band ever, Depeche Mode. I really I really started, looking for this type of music, because in Italy, the country where I am from, this type of music is not very popular. There is just pop music, Italian music, classical music, that I have studied, and so I think that I could relate more to that type of music, to mostly to the 80s, not really to gothic music. As I said, I never listened to gothic music. I just recently, in the last 4 or 5 years, started listening to it. But I think that I was yeah, I think I could relate more to that type of music, to the themes. um I really like to think that when you create a song, when I create a song, I I really talk about, my personal experiences, of course, and there are recurring themes. So I relate more to that. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. And yeah, when I moved to London, um, I think that the vibe and the culture there was there, not just the music scene, like the environment, all the cemeteries, the history of London. It had an impact on me, and also on the type of songs that I have written. Like most of the songs that I have written that are very dark um, were written and produced in London, and so I think that, yeah, your environment can definitely influence your music. But I think that first of all, it was something that it was already inside me, and then I developed with the time.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, Stella. You were mentioning that you believe that Depeche Mode is like a gothic band. Um,
No, 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 it's not a gothic band, but I think that it has a gothic vibe, you know, at least the style, especially, the way they dress up. And the themes are, to me, they are quite dark and gothic. But yeah, no, they are not classified as gothic band, they're synth pop band.
well,
But Depeche Mode is Depeche Mode, it's, you can't just put them in a category, I think.
actually there is a category of gothic bands, and the bands would be like Sushi and the Banshees, Bauhaus, Fields of the Nephilim,
Hmm.
Sisters of Mercy, The Cure, Joy Division, The 69 Eyes, Christian Death, The Damned,
Yeah.
Lacuna Coil, London After Midnight, Type O Negative is another gothic band.
Yeah, I love Type O Negative. Yeah, I love them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I listen to some of Bauhaus. I listen to Cabaret Voltaire. Um, but yeah, mostly I think I listen more to synth pop and new wave, Duran Duran, Tears for Fears,
Oh yeah,
and
good choices.
yeah, yeah, Killing Joke, Killing Joke. Um, and I used to listen actually to, and I still love them, um, the post punk and grunge scene. So I love the grunge and post punk scene. I love Nirvana, and also what else? Velvet Underground, and you mentioned Lacuna Coil. I really love Evanescence. Actually, I am about to cover a song by Evanescence, and all the other bands that you mentioned are also the Sister of Mercy and The Cure. I also like them, but I really don't really listen to them. I'm more into to the synth pop, yeah, new wave, yeah,
Yeah. Um,
more into that.
another more groups like Paradise Lost, Gene Loves Jezebel, The Cult, Clan of Zymox, Dead Can Dance, Killing Joke, like you mentioned, Cocteau
Hmm.
Twins. I would never thought that they were a gothic band.
Mm.
Birthday Massacre, Alien Sex Fiend. Okay, I think I'll go that. I want to go that far. Alien Sex Fiend. Okay. I was
Yeah.
thinking that Violent Femmes would also be sort of a gothic band, but so you said you like pop. So what about classical? Do you like listening to like Mozart or Beethoven once in a while?
Used to listen to classical music. I don't anymore, but I love it. There are, for sure, there are classical uh, musical, like orchestration elements. There are orchestra elements in some of my songs. So I used to listen to Wagner. I used to listen to opera, Puccini. I have studied also Verdi, so Verdi, Puccini, and Francesco Paolo Tosti. It's more like it's called aria da camera. It's chamber music, and that's what I have been studying at the conservatory for my degree. And yeah, I used to listen to that. Actually, not anymore. I'm more into, yeah, new wave, and synth pop. And regarding pop music, I love Lana Del Rey. It's actually the one of the female artists that I really love, and I think there are similarities. We have things in common, especially the vocal range is quite similar.
How?
So yeah, and Bjork, of course. I love Bjork.
Oh, Bjork. Oh, wow. You see her in those dresses? I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. She has like a very distinctive style. It's her style.
yeah. I could never understand Gothic though, because does that mean that if you're into goth, does that mean you're into watching horror movies and anything that's dark, like Twilight Zone and massacre movies, like
I
um,
wouldn't say that Twilight Zone is, to me. I mean, Twilight Zone is something really new. For me, Gothic is something quite old as a culture. That's new goth. Twilight Zone. It's more for teenagers, I would say. For me, Gothic, if we want to talk about Gothic culture, it's more about watching like Hammer horror movies, or there are like the the most basically famous horror movies, Hammer horror movies, British Gothic horror. Um, and for me, one thing is, I think they say that one thing is the Gothic music, and another thing is the Gothic style. So you can dress up Gothic, but you don't listen to Gothic music. Or either you can, you know, listen to music that is Gothic, classify it as Gothic, and don't dress up as a Gothic. But there are, different type of point of views. That's what they say. They usually say that to be Gothic, you have to listen to Gothic music. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just the way you 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 are. It's your influences, the way you come across. I don't think that you have to listen to Gothic music to be classified as Gothic. I personally don't want to be classified as anything. I just do me. I am me. So if I write a song and it sounds Gothic, okay, but I don't think that I want to be put in a box or in a category, because I could like write something completely different, in 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
Um, but I love Gothic horror. I'm a fan. I'm really into movies. I love movies. I always been a movie lover. Actually, before going for the conservatory, and before applying for the um, before sending my application, basically, because you have to apply. You can't just you have to audition. To get into the conservatory. So before doing that, um, I studied for 6 months in a university. I studied drama. I studied movies, cinematography. Sorry, I studied cinematography
wow.
because I really wanted to learn more about everything. The cinema has always fascinated me. Um, and yeah, horror movies, but not the ordinary horror movies, like more the mysterious one, the one that are mysterious. I like them. I don't like splatter. I don't like the horror movies they produce today. I like the old fashioned movies. And I love Kubrick. I love I love Dario Argento and David Lynch. I like Steven Spielberg as well. So, and I love Gothic fiction as well. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Stella. With the whole Gothic, I was speaking. My favorite band is Bad Mary. You should check them out with Amanda Mack and yeah, so they're good music. And they say this music. There's colors in music, so their color was magenta and black. What would you say was your color for your music? Is it black and magenta? What do you think? Like I see a little red back there. Like maybe the light is making your room red, or is black mostly one of the
Um,
colors in your music?
I have to check that band. In my music video, it depends on the music video, but usually I always go for three colors. Um, well, black is it's not really classified as a color, but as I think that most of my video are quite dark. But I always go for white, red, and blue, and these are the three colors that I always go for, except for I think for music video, wasting my time that I have directed, we went for green and white. Um, and there was no red. No, I don't think there was any red. Green and white, and I think there was a bit of a yellow. And so yeah, these are the colors that I go for. It really depends on the video, but yeah, these are the most used colors. And I think that you can find similar colors in Suspiria. Yeah, blue and magenta. I think there is some magenta as well. It really depends on the camera. I think that on the second video that I have filmed images of that, there was more magenta just because of the camera that I used. Because at the time I didn't have a professional camera, so I shot that video with my phone, and it was a smartphone, not even an iPhone, and so how is it translates the color, it's just different. So if you are filming with the color that is red, it can be translated as magenta sometimes. But definitely I don't think there is some magenta sometimes in my photo shoots, but I love red. I love to play with the red and white and blue, and sometimes green. I like green as well. It just really depends on the mood of the song. I always match the colors according to what I want to communicate.
Yeah, that's amazing, Stella. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience at the Conservatorio di Musica San Pietro a Majella of Naples?
Yeah, of course. So those were years of hard work, like uh, really hard work. I think that they made me stronger. They made me the musician that I am today, because I've studied like in a very, I was very disciplined. I always been a hardworking person. I always been in my, in my blood, and to be the kind of person that if I want to do something and I'm very passionate, I do it. But when I studied at the conservatory, well, of course, there was a lot of competition. So I had to work really hard and try to, to be basically the best singer that I could be. Um, and yeah, from one point of view, it was a good experience because it taught me to sing to sing very well. I can sing almost everything except from some type of musical style that require a very specific technique, like metal, for example. Actually, I used to sing metal, but I did it for a few years
Wow.
before. Yeah, I used to sing. Actually, I used to sing Metallica and Iron Maiden before studying opera. But when I started studying opera, I had to stop singing certain type of music because it wasn't really possible, with that type of technique.
Gothic
And
opera sounds pretty interesting.
yeah, well, I was actually more into the screaming, with the metal. It was more
Oh,
into
like
that.
Christina Dene from Phantom of the Opera. Ah!
More like Slayer.
Mm.
Um, but then, yeah, when I started studying opera and yeah, classical music, it was so interesting to find out my what's my vocal range, and to yeah, to learn basically all the techniques and about, yeah, vocal health. And it really was, yeah, it was really amazing to find out everything, and also to learn about my body, and how it works, how the breathing techniques affects, the way you sing, how to hold your notes, and yeah, all the type of different styles, that you can have, all the type of different vocal techniques within the opera singing. I also studied contemporary singing as well, so I was able to sing in both ways. And on the bad sides, talking about the bad sides, as I said, it was very competitive, it was very lonely, had no friends. I felt like everyone hated me,
Oh.
and actually still something that is going on, I think it's just the music industry. um so yeah, it was very lonely, and I think that um I was pushing myself too much most of the times, because the teachers were really demanding. I think that they knew that I could give more, so they were demanding more. But at the same time, they I think they weren't very encouraging. Like, they I think they were, some of the teachers, they were putting me down. And so some of the things they said, I think they affected me in a very negative way.
Mm.
What I mean by saying that is that I kind of lost my self confidence. Um, yeah, I think that I lost my self confidence during that period, because I think I felt like I was never good enough.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a negative side. Um, but I think that, it's what you get, when you start in this business, and that there are people that they're always judging you. They will always judging you. When you put something online, there are people that are judging you. And where, of course, where you're studying in a conservatory or in a university, there will be points. There will be, like, scores. And so it's difficult to understand that those scores don't necessarily mean that you're worth that. They're just scores. It's an opinion of people. They do that. And I just, started to think, okay, even if, I'm getting like very high scores, am I really satisfied with this? Like, is this really what I want to do? Then I found out, and I came to the conclusion that it wasn't, because I wanted to write my own songs. I didn't want to perform other songs. And more importantly, I didn't want to be told how to sing that song. I mean,
Mm.
I of course, if your teacher is giving you a feedback, that's great, and but it was like they wanted to change who I was. I want to be free, and in charge of, like, interpreting a song the way I want it and the way I feel it. So I'm not talking about the technique, I'm talking about, like, the interpretation. So if I feel like that type of song, I need to give more, on that verse. I want to be free of doing that, not being told, oh, because it is written in this way, you have to do it like this. Why? I mean, who says that is right? I mean, what's right? I mean, if I am a creative, I need to express myself.
Mhm.
I don't want to have these limits, like limitations. So yeah, that's how I I decided to pursue, a career in the contemporary music and just write my own songs.
Yeah. How do you process, like, how do you approach the process of composing and producing your music?
it's it's always different. It's always different. It's never the same. Um, of course, I write all my lyrics, so it's always starting with lyrics. Actually, it's very rare that I produce a song starting with the music and the instruments, without the lyrics. So I usually start with lyrics, and then a melody comes up, and then after writing the lyrics, that they just come out from, I would say, from nowhere. It's not like from nowhere, but it's just inspiration. I don't really decide to write something. I don't just sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna write a song. No, it just comes like naturally to me. And and when it comes, and I have this inspiration, then the first thing that I do, I find what type of rhythm the song can have. So the bass and the drums are usually the first thing. Drums and bass. Sometimes I don't want to have bass. Bass is very important, of course, but some songs don't have bass. I think there is a song that it doesn't have bass, that I produced. So yeah, drums, bass, first thing. Then synthesizer. uh, Usually I have like melodies, like synth lines in my mind. So I compose them with my synthesizer. Usually I have a Korg, a micro Korg, that I use for my performance, but also for recording. Or I record in MIDI. I have an Akai professional MIDI keyboard. It's a very small keyboard, but you can do a lot with that, because it's very precise. When you play. Um, and so yeah, synth lines, and then after that, if I think that the song needs other instruments, then I add them. I add other layers, um, orchestral elements. If it's a song, where I want to have like cellos or violins, I add them. I have different plugins in my software that have very good sounds. They have like samples of like orchestra, so um, I use that. I think it's called Symphonic Orchestra by Steinberg. And and then if it's a song where I want to have the guitar, I record the guitar. I don't try to record like a perfect take. I just record whatever I have in my mind, and then I come back to that days after or weeks after, or whatever, when I'm producing a song. It really depends on the song. um yeah, so, or with the acoustic guitar or the electric guitar. And then I listen to the song, and I just listen to my gut instinct, and then I produce the song. Mostly, looking for the type of effects that I want to have that can really shape the song. Mm, when I record the vocals, I I always like record takes in when I basically have like a melody. I record the melody, and then I come back to that. When I'm ready to sing the song and to record the song, then I record the final vocals. I used to record my vocals just using my sound card, which is also a small mixer, and then having all like the effects, all the compression, all the limiter afterwards. um, but then, because it was so hard for me to edit that in the post production, especially for vocals, it was so hard, because my vocals are very dynamic. And so I found that I was like wasting so much time trying to match, like the low range to the high range, because my high range, like, is I just my voice is so loud, and even though you use compression on a track, it's not enough. For me, I had to edit every single bits what I sing sometimes. So that's usually what producers do, what they do, like edits for a production. But because I am just one person doing everything, it's just so like a very long process. And actually I found out that a solution for me is to sing with a compressor already. So I bought this. First of all, I bought a compressor, an analog compressor from Behringer, and it has like de-esser, limiter, compressor, and I think there is also an EQ in the unit. It's actually here. You can see it, and I'm also using it, to record and to podcast and everything. And I connected it to a preamp, which I didn't have at the beginning, and it changed everything for me. The I think the vocals are much better when I record them, and I can hear myself better with the preamp. It's a preamp by Presonus. It's a really good preamp, and it has also a compressor, and it has an equalizer, and it has also a tube preamp inside. So it has a very vintage, warm sound. That it was actually what I was looking for, because all my vocals used to be, they were good, my recordings, but they were kind of like cold, like flat, and I wanted to have something warmer, something actually that matches my style, um, and also there is, yeah, more similar to my voice, because my voice is kind of warm. It's not it's not like a cold tone. My voice is kind of warm. So yeah, with this preamp, the compressor, so there are actually two compressors working together that I use. Then I record the whole thing, and then I usually apply also uh, more compression afterwards, when I'm producing the vocals. uh, but I don't have, to go through the whole thing, the whole recording, and find out, all the parts that are basically too loud, because it doesn't happen. When I'm recording, basically the vocals are already compressed. It works for me, and so that's how I record. Then I mix the song, which for me is still the most difficult part of, the whole thing, mixing. I mix in my home recording studio where I am right now, and then I master the songs and with Wavelab. And depending on the type of song that I'm producing, I might add saturation, I might add distortion, or I could just leave it, as it is, and just have a very small, compression on the song for the mastering.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what are there any themes or emotions that you aim to convey through your lyrics?
So I think that my lyrics are, well, most of my lyrics are very dark. There are themes, as I said, of death, afterlife, sorrow. So I don't do it on purpose. So it's not like that I want to convey, these emotions. Just it's just very spontaneous, and I think that my songs are very melancholic, dramatic. Um, there is betrayal, there is loss of loved ones, so death. Um, there is a lot of mysticism and eroticism, and sometimes I like to shock the audience. Like with my new single, I wanted to shock the audience and to make them feel like very anxious, also like preoccupied, and I like sometimes to shock the audience. And yeah, I think that I'm kind of moody, so every song is different. Of course, there are things in common, but every song is different from another. Um, a song that I produced, wasting my time. There are always elements of um, like dark elements and reference to death, afterlife, um, yeah, darkness and light. But there are also other themes like self empowerment and self worth, and also it's very, yeah, it's very empowering. And I think that I want like to give this message to the audience, which is like finding yourself, um, be free, and really be yourself without without having the fear to be judged by others. So like be very unapologetic, be yourself. That was, the message that I wanted to give in that song. So it really depends on the song, but yeah, most of the themes are very dark. um and yeah, there are lots of like love, um love songs, that I have written. So for sure there are, like heartbreaks. Most of the times it's about a love story that it ends up very very badly, so like tragedy. um yeah, I think those are the emotions. And I think actually I was told that by many people that have listened to my music and that came to my live shows, that when they listen to my music, is like they are brought to another dimension. It's like they are tripping. And I think that it's true. Maybe when I'm singing or when I'm performing, I am going somewhere else, and I don't know. It's like my mind is traveling, and it's like I'm there, but I'm not really there. And so maybe that's what the audience means, when they say, "Oh, your songs um, bring me to another place." They bring me somewhere else, to places, and you give me like a vision of something else. When I'm there, I'm not there anymore.
Very well spoken, Stella. And when you mention love songs, I'm thinking, is there love in goth?
Of course, yeah, of course, there is love in Goth. I
So,
mean, if you think about Dracula, isn't that love? I mean, of course, is a very passionate and self-destructive love, but that's love. I mean, who's to say what is love? Love is different from for everyone, I guess.
yeah. Um, can you describe the creative process behind the EP, All That I Need? Now, you have a song called "I'll Meet You Sometime," and the rest
Mm-hmm.
are like remixes of All That I Need. Now, a lot of lyrics are based on experiences. What experience did you have through "I'll Meet You Sometime"?
Mm,
Who?
well,
Who are you going to meet?
I'll meet you sometime is about a man. Is about a love story that I had. Actually, most of the songs that I have written are about this person. Um, and well, I had this relationship. It was a very it changed my life. This relationship, I think it was probably the my first love. So when the relationship ended, I felt like I lost a part of myself.
Hmm.
I was missing a part of myself, because I think when you give so much to another person, and then that person is not there anymore with you, it's like it's part of yourself is gone. And I think that song, it was about him, about his personality. It was a very very cold man, mm, difficult to understand what was going on in his mind. and that's what the song is about, this person. But it's also about the hope of meeting someone else one day, um, that is not like him. So yeah, that's what the song is about. And is yeah, it's a very melancholic song. Is a love song, as you said, and it's a song of goodbye, but also maybe I'll meet you another, someday. Like saying I'll meet another person that is not, like you, um, but that I can really, I can love and I can feel that he's um, is loving me as I love him, because I never felt like he was loving me as I was loving him. And so yeah, that's what the song is about. There is no official music video for that, but there is a music video for All That I Need that I have directed and produced. As you mentioned, All That I Need.
I love that video. How did you bring that one to life? That's a great music video.
Hmm. Um, it's a bit magical, how it happened, because it's all about inspiration. I think when you have something in your mind, um, I visualize, everything. I visualized everything in my mind, and then I've written down everything. Of course, I was the director, but I also written the story of the whole video. So that I have written the story, and I've done the storyboard. I drew everything, every single scene. I drew it. I saw it in my mind, and then I put it on the paper. Um, and so everything, that I was seeing in my mind, I was writing it down, and then I did it. And it was hard to film that video. It was very hard. It wasn't easy, and it took 3 days to film that music video, because there were three locations, and it takes place in the Middle Ages. So that's how I wanted to have that type of vibe. But all the costumes are kind of contemporary. So the outfits are contemporary, and the type of video that I wanted, it was, of course, a dark video, but I never meant to deliver a gothic video. I never meant to. I just produced what I had in my mind, you know and we shot. We only had two people. I only had two persons in as a team: the video maker and an assistant to help with the lights. That's it. And I think we did an incredible job, having only two persons. Then there were two actors. There was a male actor and the actresses, the actress in the video, and he was playing a demonic man. She was playing an angelic woman. So she looks like an angel. She has this beautiful white dress. You can just see it at the end of the video. And so there were these two characters. I was playing the gothic lady, so I was dressed up as a goth young lady. So there is this contemporary element, that I bring into the video. And it was a full moon night, and I chosen that night because I knew there was going to be the full moon. One thing that I really love to have in my videos, there are like real things. I'm not a green screen fan. I never use a green screen, even though it can be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have real elements. So I wanted to have a real cemetery. I wanted to have a real full moon, and then we shot. So that day we shot in the cemetery.
How did
Another
you
day,
how did you
sorry,
pull
you
off
go.
the funeral one?
How? Say again.
But you said you wanted everything real, so didn't you have to find a funeral and shoot around it? And how did you get around that one? Like, what are you doing here? Who's that lady? Who's that?
You mean the cemetery?
Yeah, the cemetery one with the real funeral. Like, how did you have to do a locate? Like, you had to find a cemetery and then find a funeral and.
No, there was no funeral there. There is
But you
no funeral scene.
but you had to find a cemetery somewhere.
Yeah, it's a cemetery in London. It's a beautiful cemetery. It's a very old cemetery. Um, and I did my research. I did my research when I was in London. I went to the cemetery, and I studied all the locations and where I wanted to film all the type of scenes that I wanted, and I drew them. And then I think that I made like 50 or 52 pages,
Mm.
during every single scene, because I think there were like 52 scenes.
Wow.
And we went there during the night. That's what we did, you know. Um, and there was no one, so there was no one around, who is going to be around during the night in a cemetery. I don't think not many people, at least not alive ones. So yeah, that's how I did it. And I also was not just the director, I was also the manager, because since we had to be on a schedule, right? So it took like 7 hours, I think 8 hours in the cemetery. By the way, it
Mm.
was kind of long because it was so big, that place, that to get to one point to another point, it was taking like 5 or 10 minutes, walking with all the equipment. And then we had to uh, prepare all the scene, just two persons preparing all the scene, with all the equipment, the lights, the costume, and the props, the blood scenes, where I
Mhm.
am basically having, there is one scene where I'm dead, and you can see me when the demonic man is holding me, and I'm bleeding. So that scene, I think that we did that at the end, because it was really complicated to remove all that fake blood.
Hmm.
You really need to have a shower after that, and it
Mhm.
stains, it can stain the outfit.
I know that for
So
sure.
I had to plan that and to have that, at the end. So planning, scheduling the whole thing. That's how I did it. Every single scene, I knew how long it was going to last. Like 6 seconds. And of course, I had a great director, video maker. His name is Riccardo Cavani. He's a filmmaker. Actually, he's not a video maker. He's a filmmaker. And so I was keeping the time schedule, he was keeping the time. That's how we did it. And I think that the second day or the third day, I don't remember which was the second or the third day, but we had other 2 days filming. Another day was in the church, and another day was in the Tudor suite, so other two locations. And the church was not in London, it was a bit farther. I think it was 45 minutes from London.
Mm.
And I chose that one because it was the only one that I really liked, and it had Tudor elements. I think it was actually a bit older. I think it was from the 13th or 14th century. And whereas the Tudor elements, like the real Tudor elements from the 15th and the 16th centuries, were in the Tudor suite where we shot. It was in a hotel when we filmed, but this hotel has all of these real elements, real objects, from the 15th and the 16th century, and I really really love that. um, I put my money into that, because we didn't pay, to film in the church, and also in the cemetery we didn't pay. I put my money into that Tudor suite, and that was expensive. It was in London. It was really expensive, but it was worth it. I think it was really, yeah, it was really worth it. And it was amazing to film that. And I was also organizing all the rose baths that I purchased these roses. I think the day after they delivered it, so they were very fresh, and they were actually like a costume made, because I have chosen the size, and the color of the roses, and then I cut them, and then I put them all over the bed. And then also I remember that I also placed all the candles, like red and black candles, and also those ones were sort of custom made, because they weren't like just the cheap candles that you buy, on the internet. They were made, I think, by a company in London, and they were like real black, real red, not dyed, not paraffin candles. And I think they looked very very good in the video. And it was the first time for me in like acting in a music video. I never done that before, and it was the first time for me doing like an erotic scene. And I actually found that I felt very comfortable doing that. I didn't feel uncomfortable, maybe because I have written that, so I don't know, I just was aware of what was going to happen, whereas the actor was very uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And so the hardest thing for me that day was trying to make him feel more comfortable and calm it down, because he was feeling very anxious. Uh, but I loved doing that. I loved doing that, those scenes, and I loved how the filmmaker filmed the scenes, and then we worked together. Um, we really had a really good relationship, and he was listening to my feedback, and how I wanted the scenes. The if I wanted to have a medium shot, he was doing that. I wanted to have a close-up shot, he was doing that exactly how I wanted it. So yeah, we really had a good understanding. And I think, yeah, as you said, I'm very happy with the results, how it came. And then we did the editing together. We met up. It took a few days, and we did the editing together. And I was telling him, oh, look, this scene, I think the color, you can adjust it a bit more. So we worked together on the editing too.
Yeah, if you're stuck in a cemetery at night and you have people approaching you, there's one way to get rid of them. You go, "You can see me? You you
Well,
can
I'm
see
pretty sure.
me?"
Look, I've been to cemeteries in the evening, sometimes even by myself, and I can assure you there is no one goes in a cemetery in the evening.
This is amazing.
Only there are only that people, really. And that's what I like about cemeteries, because they are so quiet. And I don't like the noise of crowds. I'm not really into parties or that type of thing. So I actually find cemeteries are very peaceful. I really
Well,
love them.
yeah, the cemetery my parents are buried and a few friends, uh, there's a suburb of rows of houses, and sadly, they have to look through their window and see a cemetery, and I'd be like, "No, I'm moving." Um,
Are you afraid of cemeteries? Are you
no, I'm
scared?
not. It just reminds me of that scene from Poltergeist where the whole issue is that they removed the stones and kept the bodies so that the houses were built on top of the graves.
Oh
So
yes, I think
so
I know
that
what
all those
those people.
poltergeists were the people complaining that uh, you can't build on top of us. Where instead of like
I
they
I
moved
remember
this,
that scene.
yeah. Wow, this is amazing how you did that. All I need and how you actually put that all together. Like I'm surprised. Like how do you balance being your music producer, your video director, your musician? How do you deal with your mental health? What keeps you sane?
Mm, Well, it's hard, at times. I always say to musicians, especially those that are younger than me, that mental health is so important. It's very important to look after your well-being, physical and mental health. And with all the pressure that musicians have, especially independent musicians, because people don't realize how much work there is beyond something, even just one single song. And so me being a music producer, a director, and singer and songwriter, everything, manager, marketing, promoter, everything. It is hard to maintain, like it's really hard at times, to look after my mental health. Sometimes we can forget about it, um, but I found a balance, recently in the recent years, because before I was really like work, work, work. I need to make it. I need to do my best, and I was forgetting about my physical health. Um, I mentioned to my audience, and I actually was very open about it recently. I never talked about that before, but then I said, okay, I want to say this. There is nothing wrong with showing my weaknesses, because everyone has them. It's human. We are human beings, aren't we? So I have been dealing with chronic pain for several years, since I was 16,
Mm.
and I never realized. I always thought that was a weakness. That is something that I had to hide, from others. But it's not. It's actually something that made me stronger, because I always felt like I needed to do more. I needed to push myself harder than the average people, because of this issue. If because of my pain and my chronic pain, I get tired. um I would say, yeah, I just get tired more often. And even when I play songs, playing the guitar, I had issues with my back, with my shoulder pain,
Mm.
because of my chronic pain. And then I decide, okay, this has to stop. I can't sacrifice my health for music, or for anything else, for anything or anyone. It comes first. Health comes first, because if you don't have your health, you can't function.
Mm.
You can't have a career. I mean, you can have a career, but you're going to be very dysfunctional. I think, yeah, you're not going to. I mean, there is a point where you're going to crash. Your body cannot take it anymore, if you neglect your mental health and your physical health. So the way I did it, I started to taking care of myself more. When I want to take a break, I take a break. I have recently I decided to also start a part-time job, because of my chronic condition. I
Mhm.
need therapies, so I need to see a therapist. Now I am seeing a therapist less, because my conditions, my chronic pain has been improving, luckily. But I see my therapist. I had counseling sessions.
Mm.
I do meditation. Um, all of these type of things, and I keep myself active. I love doing physical exercise. I love swimming, and I try to do that at least twice a week. Um, and I find that really helps me. It helps me. I sleep better. I feel better, and I pay a lot of attention to my diet, to what I eat, to what I put in my body, and that's actually what I do. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't smoke. I don't do any drugs, and I think that to be in this industry, or actually in any industry, to be successful, you have to have a very sharp mind. So that's how I balance, my career. When I think that I need a break, I take a break. If sometimes I work more, that I should, because I don't have, people working for me at the moment. Hopefully this is going to change very soon. I think it will. And so that's how I do it. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult. But I am very happy to say that I feel better, and I've suffered from depression in when I
Mm.
was younger.
Mm.
I I am a completely different person. Like, if I look myself in the mirror right now, and then I was looking, to the old Stella, it's like it's a completely different person.
Hmm.
I I used to be, um I don't want to say that I was shy, but I wasn't so self-confident, and I wasn't so self-aware, and I was struggling with boundaries and control,
Hmm.
and I always like I had to prove myself. And now I understand I don't have to prove anything. The only competition is myself. So if I am creating a song and I put it online, and I am happy with that, no matter the imperfections, I know I did the best that I could. Um so I think I create like a bubble, maybe every musician can do it, like create a bubble around yourself, and keep yourself like really motivated and positive thinking, positive affirmations every day. I try to do them every day, reminding myself how I am strong, how I am talented, how I can make it, and it really keeps away all the negativity and all the negative thoughts, even in your mind. I think controlling like your mental health and your physical health, they go together, of course, but it all starts from the mind. It's a mindset, it's not something that someone else can, someone else, of course, can tell you about it and they can teach you, but it's something that you need to understand and you need to start for yourself. I've done lots of readings, books that I've been reading regarding, yeah, how to succeed. I watched lots of positive like affirmations videos on YouTube. I listen to, yeah, successful people affirmations, successful people speeches. That's what it keeps me going. Having like, yeah, just surrounding myself with positive thinking, and keeping the negativity around, like the negativity out of my life. In this way, negative people, I detached from all the negative people, or the people that I felt they weren't supporting me. I cut all the cords. um it's I just really, I know that I have myself, and that's enough. Myself and spirit, how you want to call it, God. I have myself and my fate. And yeah, I would say recommending to other musicians to really be aware of who they are and do lots of readings. I could recommend a book that has changed my life, which is titled Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And
Hmm.
it's not really a book about money. It's not a book about money. It really, it teaches you. It's a bit of a spiritual book. I'm still reading it. I always have to go through it, and I go through it all the time. um I would recommend that. And other really books related to, yeah, how to be successful, how to control, like really to understand what's the right mindset, to succeed. And yeah, of course, having a very healthy lifestyle for me is the first thing. Otherwise you can't succeed, you can't be taken seriously in this business, I believe.
Yeah, you're correct. There's actually a book that really changed my life. In fact, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But the one book that I read was one written by Barbara Walters, the interviewer herself, Barbara Walters, back in 1971. It's called how to talk to anybody about practically anything. It tells you how to speak to CEOs, how to speak to bakers, how to speak to homeless people, how to and I used a lot of these methods to get me out of my shell to be able to speak to anybody about practically anything. Even my friend's father, who refused to speak to me or anybody who's low intelligence, I decided, and I took the book, and I thought, okay, and then I started sharing and talking to him about some. I didn't tell him I read the book. I told him I used one of the instances in the book on how to speak to people because he was a CEO of his company. He was like a real estate agent. I spoke to me. He said, "You're so intelligent. Oh, I love." So it works like that. Um, I
You
really
have to
love.
send me a link. You have to send me the link.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
good
it's going to
book.
be a very useful book.
It is Barbara Walters. I think she wrote it when she was in her 20s or 30s, but it was a really good book, still pertinent for today. I like the video Images of Death. Now, what's the story behind that single and the accompanying video? And where do you draw an inspiration for your music videos and visual storytelling?
So that song, there is another very sad story
Hmm.
behind that song, very dramatic.
Should I get my Kleenexes?
Sorry,
Should I get
say
my tissues or?
maybe I don't
Mhm.
know. I
Okay.
hope it's not. I hope it's not triggering. It could
No,
be. I don't know.
go ahead.
Um, so the images of that, I've written the song for my mother,
Mm,
and who passed away many years ago. So the lyrics, they talk about her dying,
mm,
literally. That's the song is about my mother passing away, and I think it took me 10 years to write that song. What I mean, it's not like I've been writing it for 10 years. I mean, it took me 10 years to be able to write that. It's like you never when you lose someone, loss of a loved one, grieving can be a very long process. So
mhm,
I think me writing about that, putting those words together, writing lyrics, it was like finally, um I don't want to say getting it over, but facing it, and I felt better. It took me a long time to finally, be able to write that, put it on the paper, and then making a music video about that, which is actually, it doesn't show, anything, kind of related. It's not very related to the lyrics. It's always very gothic. It's very dark. But yeah, that's the song is about that. How I felt, um, losing her. When I was very young. I was 18, and it was an experience that, again, it changed my whole life, for the better, actually.
mhm,
It changed it for the better, um, because then I grew up with that. um, I had to take care of everything by myself. I always lived with my mother. I didn't live with my father, so she was the only person that I had in my family, basically.
mm,
I had other relatives, but we weren't that close. So I really had to think about my future, and I was only 18, and I had to get a part-time job, and I was still, studying music at the conservatory, producing my songs, and yeah, it changed my life. And then it's very like, the lyrics are very dark. The chorus, I think, is very catchy. Regarding the instruments, I used cellos, and everything that was done, I think it was done with my previous software. It was always Cubase, but I had another type of plugin. I don't remember if I had Symphonic Orchestra or something, that it was like a previous version. And then I used my synthesizer as well, my um, Korg microKorg to play the synths. And I also did the synth bass. There are lots of bass. It's a very dark sound, but it's also very symphonic. It's very symphonic. Um, and I think that the video, where there are scenes where you can actually see me, with flowers, and I'm walking with these roses in this very, very dark and I would say a bit creepy um, place. I think that those were woods. You know what I was filming during the night. Again, I was filming actually that video is the only video that I filmed with my smartphone, and I am really surprised that it came out so well. And even if for the quality of the the music video, it's actually a decent quality. It's not like a professional quality as the other ones, but it's a really good quality. And I think that was again one of the I think it was maybe the most difficult one to film, because it was just me. I had no help, and because it was during the pandemic, and during that time, it was forbidden to see other people, it was forbidden to meet up with other people.
Hmm.
It was just so hard to find someone who could come. No one could. And I said to myself, okay, let's do it. I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna do it alone, you know and it was difficult for me to bring all the equipment by myself. I shot with professional lights. Those were LED lights, and I used, as you said, like red. I think there was red, white. I don't remember if there was some blue, actually, but for sure red and white colors. And I think that the whole video, yeah, it's a really good video. Considering the fact that I was completely alone, and I shot everything in this wood. There was again the full moon is something that I really like. It's also one of the images that I have as artwork on one of my CDs. The full moon on the inside of the CD, and it's taken from the video. So yeah, it was actually a good quality even to print out. For the artwork for the cover of the CDs. And I had for that time again blood, so blood scenes. I had other props like bones that I used also in All That I Need music video. I used these animal bones, again, real animal bones, and that I found on eBay. And they are actually
Apparently, you used a
quite
skull as
hard
well.
to find. Sorry?
Mhm. Apparently, you
So,
used a skull as well. You find that on
yeah,
Amazon as well?
some of them, they were from Amazon. I think one was from eBay. But they are like yeah, very similar, I think so. I don't think you can
Wow.
notice the difference. They are resin, made of resin, so it's actually a decent material. um, and they are very realistic. I think they are quite realistic. And then I use the blood, and the whole video is, as I said, very spooky. It's this girl, like I am playing this character of, again, a gothic lady, um, who is, it's very like sad, and there is a lot of drama. It's very melancholic. It's also, I would say, there is some not just melancholy, but some scenes. There is some romance in it. Do you see that there is some romance, because there are like roses? So there is actually, like love, love in the video, of course, maybe the love that I felt for my mother. So yeah, red roses, I use red roses and white roses. And I use blood on the white roses to symbolize the loss. And the red roses that you see at the end of the video in that lake, also another element, very dramatic, that I liked, to have those roses in that lake, like they were dying, they were drawing they weren't drawing, but it was like, those roses in the lake. I just felt that it was very connected to feelings, to emotions. I just love that scene, and you can see me like I am kneeling down, looking at those roses. And my Yeah, I had like a very dramatic, I think, appearance in that scene. It's all very dramatic at the end. And I think, yes, I did use some blue, and actually part of the video, was filmed in my place. So all the playback where I'm singing, and I have these black wings. I have like a costume with black wings, um, that was filmed in my place. So I did all the some playback at my place, and then other scenes I've done them basically the playback in the woods, but mostly was a narrative. Mostly were narrative scenes in the woods. So all of the playback, I think almost all the playback was done at my place with a black background, and with professional lights that I use. And I think that if you want to find like a similar, maybe a similar video, similar vibe, you could relate that to, what you could compare it to, something like gothic horror, but like more like contemporary. um I don't know, you mentioned Twilight. I'm not sure if it's like that. um mm,
Well, there's a few
probably not.
episodes in Twilight Zone that are a little bit kind of
Mm.
like more spookier and dark. He really was. Rod Serling really was the master of macabre, but he did write some pretty good science fiction episodes, which I like. But he was a mixture, so it was pretty good.
So yeah, so that was basically the whole video. I'm actually very satisfied with that. And then there is also a remix of the same song that I have also produced and composed. There is more minimal, um, less, of course, less instrument. There is just bass, a synth bass that I used, drums and vocals, and also that is a very dramatic one. People like it when I play it, live with my synthesizer. There is also a solo that I play, and none of the tracks, by the way, were mastered. All that I need and images of that were my first releases, and at that time I didn't master them. There's
Wow,
just mixed them. They're not mastered. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It is what it is. I started mastering afterwards.
amazing! Wow, you're so multi-talented there. What was it like collaborating with Lloyd Price of the Friction on your "Loving the Alien" EP?
So yeah, that was amazing. It was amazing. We actually collaborated twice. He did a fantastic remix for All That I Need. That he had like 4,000 or 5,000 streams on Spotify. So many streams, and it was like the most played remix on the radios. And he is a very talented music producer. He's producing now Massive Ego. He has other two projects, Agency V, and The Friction. And it was just really easy. It's very easy. It's very easy. As a very um, it's the way he produces. I sent him the vocals and the instruments, just the stems, and he produced that very very quickly, and he did a fantastic job. As soon as I heard his version, it was just perfect. I think there was only one thing that I said, oh, could you just modify that part. I think it was the end of the remix. That was it. The rest of it, I loved it, and so that's why I collaborated again with him. With Loving the Alien. And I think that his version, for All That I Need, he's always like synth pop. So he has, in all his production, he has this um, synth pop style that I love. I love, and we both love Depeche Mode. We're both into that. And he um, he produced this version of Loving the Alien that is more industrial, that is kind of very different, from what I do. I don't do industrial, but I think this version was quite interesting. I think it worked very well with my vocals. synth pop and industrial elements. And also that one went very well on Spotify. Also that one had lots of streams. And again, I just sent him my stems and he did a remix. That was it, you know. He's really, really good. He has
Mm.
been doing this for I don't know how many years actually, but I think at least 25 years or 30, I don't know. But he's a very experienced producer. And the way he does the vocals, I love it. You know, the effects he uses on the vocals, it just makes my vocals like shine even more. And we are going to collaborate again, and I'm
Yes.
so excited about that. Yeah, it's going to be great. He told me, you know, I would like to do an album with you. Do you
Mm.
have songs that I would like to produce your album? I said, of course, yes. I have lots of songs, you know. I have plenty of songs that I have written, but that are not fully produced because it just takes me so long to do everything by myself. So having another person helping me with the production, doing the mixing is going to be a game changer for me, you know. And so I'm gonna write the songs, I'm gonna write, you know, the lyrics, the instruments, you know. That's how I do it. I We are going to, you know, work as a team. I will write my songs, I will compose the music, then I will send him the stems. He will try to understand. We usually understands, you know, my vision. Usually what he sends me, I always like it. um I always like it. Even the last version that he did, he started working on a remix of my new song, you know, that I just released. It's okay, I'm okay. And he sent me his idea. He said, "Oh, I'm just gonna send you this. This is just an idea, you know." And I listened to that. I was like, "Just an idea. This sounds like almost fully produced song to me, you know." And it sounds amazing. The compression that he uses, you know, the effects on the vocals are outstanding. And he actually added to this version the thing that I liked. It wasn't just synth pop. It was a bit of like dark minimal elements to it. And it sounded a bit sinister. That is what I loved about it. And I said it, I love the fact that it sounds a bit sinister. You know, it doesn't just sound like synth pop Depeche Mode. It sounds a bit sinister. And so he's able to understand my vision. That's what I like, you know. Doing this album together is gonna be great, you know, to have him on my side.
Yeah, you should because he had been there for the song uh, "Loving the Alien," which is a great song. It's amazing
Yeah,
when you get
of course,
someone to
Loving
work
the
with
Alien, you
you.
know that is by David Bowie, right? You know that.
Sorry?
You know that Loving the Alien, it was a cover. It's by David Bowie.
Yeah, I know David Bowie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about cover songs. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
"Loving the Alien." Yeah, he was sort of more like a gothic kind of like a clown back then, but he really leveled out in the late '70s, early '80s. I love his song "Heroes." That might be a good song you should try out. "Heroes," gothically.
Yeah.
Make it heroes and then gothics. You know. Yeah, I was thinking of asking you.
Mhm. I am
You
a
ever
fan
thought?
of David Bowie.
Yeah, me too. Are you?
Good.
Are you, I don't know if you ever thought
Which
of
is
this.
the album? Which is the song, you know, that you must love by David Bowie?
Heroes. Heroes is one
Yes.
of them, and uh, Spaceman is my favorite because I sing a lot of those online and duet with a lot of people. But I didn't become a fan of David Bowie until after he passed, which is kind of sad because I realized he was such a proficient
Mhm.
um, songwriter. He was really good, really. Yeah. But you ever thought
Yeah,
of doing like a gothic musical?
hmm, I don't know about musicals, you know. I would love to be in a movie for sure. I would love to act, I think I would love to act. Try that, yeah, to be in a movie. I just love, the storytelling of movies. I love everything, of producing a movie. And yeah, I would love to act. I don't know if I am actually able to act. I think I am, because I am a performer. So that's what I have done, in the videos. So
All it
something
is,
similar.
all you have to do is you just had to um, write songs, but create it around a story. You have to figure out what the Gothic musical is about, what title you're going to give it. I'm sure it'll work out. Like I know someone who wrote a musical called, and she wrote a musical with what is his name? He's a well-known um, composer. But yeah, you could try that. But one thing I really loved is that your song "Wasting My Time," uh, like especially in historical locations like Kirkstall Abbey and Adel Woods. What was the inspiration behind that video, that song?
So the inspiration behind that song was all about, again, my personal experiences, um, personal family history of like trauma, and yeah, childhood trauma, but not just childhood trauma. Like really, I come from a very difficult, I would say, difficult situation. I never felt I had a good relationship with my family.
Mm.
Um, and then I try to fit in. I try to understand them and to make them to make me, um, to be accepted, really, to be accepted, to be in the family. I tried that, but it didn't work. So I detached myself, and then that song is actually all about that. Um, it's about
It has a
leaving
lot of
this toxic situation,
like a lot of
toxic family.
priestess type thing in an old Victorian type castle. You're all dressed in black with crosses, and you're holding like an hourglass. You're writing something. A
Yeah.
pretty gothic video.
Well, it's more like that takes place in the Middle Ages, medieval.
Mhm.
It's very medieval, Middle Ages, and I shot that in the Abbey in Leeds. It's a monastery, by the way. It's a very old monastery, and there are spooky stories about that.
Hmm.
And yeah, there are spooky stories. Like there was a lady that, I think she died or she killed herself, after killing his husband or something like that. Anyway, there is a story of a ghost that has been seen there. A woman that like is a ghost. I haven't seen her, anyways, but it's spooky. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place to shoot a video. And as always, when I write a song, and then I like, to really have, as you said, this Gothic and medieval um, vision for the whole song. Even though, the story is about me, it's like a bit of a movie, where you create a movie, where you write a story, you put some of yourself, some of your experience, but then you use characters to describe that. You use landscapes and yeah, places, even places where you have never been. um, so that's what I do. That's what I do in every single movie, in every single, not movie, but every single video. I think as a film producer, I think it as a bit of as a movie, as a story, a narrative video. And so that was actually, also very hard to film. It was filmed by Riccardo Cavani again, the same filmmaker that filmed All That I Need. And it it was hard. We filmed in 2 days. That is a very short time to film all of that we have done. I hired 12 actresses. They are playing the nuns. So
Yeah.
those were nuns, with all black dresses that I have, chosen, purchased, and with the crosses. I have directed them, everything, or every scene I have directed the scene. And I think it took probably 8 hours in the abbey, in the Kirkstall Abbey. And then we also filmed in Adelwoods, which is a wood that is in Leeds, a bit like out of Leeds, but it's not too far actually. Um, and I chosen that because I like the fact there was this river, and is actually very wild, and it's not there are not many people going there. So I would say yeah, it's the type of it's the type of place where you can film that you are not disturbed. And there are like places like the woods, especially where there are lots of trees. There are very spooky, can be very spooky. And so we filmed in these two places. Then so the main character I am playing, Susanne, is a princess. Again, is a Gothic lady. And when I wrote the story, I I imagine this character being a noble woman, very knowledgeable, a bit aristocratic. She also the dress that I have is like it's very elegant, it's very long. It's quite different from the other outfits that I wore, had before. And the story of this lady, um, is like, yeah, it's similar. It's a kind of similar to mine, but it's in another place, in another place and another time. So she feels not understood by her family. She's very sad, and she's very sad because she has lost the love of her life that has died in battle. So during the battle he dies, and because she doesn't feel understood and she feels like she's in a cage, she cannot express herself. She really leaves, she leaves that place. um, and when she's in the abbey, actually, she she tries, to find comfort. And also the other nuns have similar, um, I think there is a similar meaning, because also they are feeling like they don't have power. They have lost their willpower. So it's so really about um, empowering women. That's my message there. How to break free from the society rules and really understand who you are. um, and yeah, be yourself and be free of showing and being yourself. So during the video we see her um, leading all the nuns, all of these women that are around her and behind her. And although at all the times I am saying I am wasting my time, around these people. That's why the title track is called Wasting My Time. I am wasting my time around these people that are fake. They don't understand who I am. They don't appreciate who I am. So I'm just going to leave. I'm, and it's a very empowering song, I think. And then, of course, there are medieval elements. There is a sword that I have used during the video, and I'm walking with the sword during the in the woods while it was raining. That's actually real rain, and we didn't plan that.
Wow.
And we didn't plan that. And actually, um, I was very preoccupied when we saw the prediction for the weather, because I thought that we had to cancel the shooting, and we were actually going to cancel that. But because I hired this video maker, and everything was planned for those 2 dates, I really thought I had to try. I had to try to film, because otherwise it's going to be a disaster to hire him again for another day. When you plan something like that, you can't just change dates. We planned that for 2 months in advance. So um luckily we made it, but that was wild. I mean, that was so hard for me to walk with that sword with high heels, and in the woods, lots of rain. There was actually a flood, so it was flooding. And can you imagine how it's hard with high heels on all of those rocks? There were rocks all around, so it was like an even ground. That was hard, and looking at the camera and doing the playback, and
Yeah.
very hard. But I think that the rain was a blessing, because it looks so dramatic with the rain. I think it was even better. And then there is also the scene where I am lying close to the river and I'm playing that. And so all of those, scenes, those are different times, they're not, of course, the same period. So she is like she's in the abbey, and she's, of course, um playing, this character of the princess. But then when she finds out who she really is, who she wants to be herself. She finds out, that she's really into spirituality. She is not Catholic, as her family is Catholic. And when she found out, that the love of her life is dead, she leaves, and she kills himself. That's a suicide scene. That's not actually, very explicit in the video, but that's what I like to do. I don't want to be explicit. I want to be cryptic when I do something. And actually, luckily that I was cryptic, because that video was also censored, on YouTube for some reason. In some countries, it wasn't allowed. I think that's probably because of the religion references, something like that. Because there is no nude, there are no really violent scenes. I don't think so. But anyways,
I think the
it is
suicide scene,
maybe
maybe you can't use suicide. You can't use people instead of suicide they say unalive. So he unalived himself. You can't use like coronavirus, the word with C. You can't use that. And these are keywords that YouTube uses, and if those words are used or shown, that it just that's why you hear a lot of beep. He's a beep. I
yeah, they
beep
do that.
himself. I think he's a stupid beep. You know what I mean? So you beep. I had to beep out video, and the girl, the soprano, the opera singer, refuses to talk to me because she had something important to tell, and I had to block it off because it was. I'll tell you after we press and record what it was. You'll be shocked that
Yeah, it's shocking that we are not allowed, to speak up nowadays.
I know, but that
In
was a good
modern
video.
times.
Wasting my time was a good video. It's amazing some of the things you can find in England and in London and places around the UK. You don't get that much in Canada. You do get that in Ireland and Scotland, but around here,
Mhm.
I think you have to go to little towns, um, which we have, but like Gothic places like this, yeah, you have to go to UK for that.
Yeah, it's true. UK has a lot of places. I still have to, discover them,
Yeah,
where you can, film this video. So I think that's what I like. A
it was
lot of
good.
these dramatic and spooky landscapes. A lot of churches. There's so many churches here, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's really, really, it's really amazing. Also in Italy, actually, there are lots of churches. But Italy is not as spooky as England. There are some places actually that are, there are told, especially in Naples, where I come from, and around Naples, there are stories of witches and ghosts, people that have seen ghosts.
Yeah,
So there is that. Um, but yeah, there's just a different type of vibe. I think here the culture is, stays, whereas in Italy maybe they are more conservative because there is a church. So actually those places are hard to find, and even if you find them, you really don't. There are no like people. There are not really telling the story. You have to find out by yourself. It's like those stories. I think they have been lost during the years. Whereas here, you actually know everything. I mean, if you Google it, you will find everything. About all the stories, ghosts, vampires. Of course, there is Whitby. There is very
Yeah.
famous. That actually haven't been there yet. I have to go there.
Yeah.
I have to go to Whitby.
Do you believe your background in various aspects of music production influence your overall sound? Like you wanted to get that certain sound and wasting my time and loving the alien. Do you try
Mm.
to create a sound and try to duplicate it, or do you try to do a different type of sound in every video?
I don't try anything. I just come up with the music. Um, I don't try to do any sound. Do you know what I mean? I When I produce a song, like if I produced, wasting my time, and it was quite different from everything that I have done before. I think it was, yeah, more synth pop, less dark, but I didn't do it on purpose. It's just basically how I perceive the lyrics. So maybe it was based more on the story that I had to tell, and then basing basically on that story. That's how I understood what I wanted, how to shape the sound, to have that sound. That it was actually more pop. I think it's a more pop sound. For sure it's more pop, compared to the previous releases. um but I don't really try to impress or anything. I don't think about how this song is going to work better, this time, because I haven't done this before, so maybe the audience wants to hear that. No, I produce according to my inspiration. That's it. But for sure every song is different. I don't think that my songs, I think that my songs have things in common. Of course, it's not like I'm doing uh you know gothic and then I'm doing soul music. But at the same time, it's it's different. Every song has its own story and has its own, um, I have a vision for every song, for sure, that is quite different from the previous one. Yeah.
But acoustics must be important because when you're in a church and you speak or you shout, you're going to get an echo. And I probably in this church where you did this wasting my time video, there was a lot of echo and a lot of reverb and acoustics. Isn't that something you want? Because people are going to think it's kind of like fake when you're singing in a church and you don't get any of that. Do you think people would notice that if you didn't have the echo or the
I
acoustics?
didn't. What you mean? The wasting my time?
Yeah,
You're
like when
wasting my
you're
time?
like whenever you're doing a video in a like especially when you sing in a venue, acoustics are
Oh,
very important.
yes, of course. But I never sang in that video live. That's how you do the playback. Is basically.
I know, but still, it's I know how they do that,
Ah,
but I still think that a little bit of reality, especially with sound, could have been done. We just like even if you use Pro Tools, and
mm,
what I use too for my sound when I sing, um, I would think, okay, am I singing in a grocery store? So I would use the sound filter to make it like I'm sound in a grocery store. Am I singing in a church? Because I sung in a church before. Okay, so the acoustics have to, and I would use the sound filter to give me. I'm trying to make it as real as I can. So
okay, so you're talking about the effects that I've used, what I was producing, basically the song, right?
yeah, like I mean, the
Um, so okay, so when I produce the song, usually what I use on the vocals is a church reverb, actually.
reverb, yeah,
Uh, or at times I use just a plate reverb or a vintage reverb,
yeah.
this type of reverb. Sometimes a chamber reverb, but it's not like I
Nice
use
one.
that. I don't use just the setup. I Of course there are setups, but then I adjust that, according to what I want for the song. So I don't just rely on the setup. So I can adjust, the width, the how wet or how dry is the reverb, how long is going to last, the delay, if there is chorus as well, because the one that I use, um, the the plugin that I have used for wasting my time, I think he has also a chorus inside, and he has also filters. So it's not just a reverb; it's a reverb with all of these things. And yeah, I actually use this most of the time. I don't use the one provided with Steinberg, the standard one, but I use this one instead. Um, but I never recorded like in a church, like live, for my music videos.
Hmm.
So what you hear from the production is what I have recorded in my studio.
Post
Uh, with,
production, yeah.
but is my studio is actually very dry. I don't know if you can hear it from here, but it's like very dry because the way that I place, the acoustic panels, they are not soundproofing, but they do have an effect on the sound. And so I like to have the original recording as dry as possible, and then to add the effect later. Because I never know how I want it to sound, later. And if I had, like a reverb at the beginning, I would be stuck with that type of reverb that it might not fit the song, because I can change, my idea when I'm producing the song, of how much reverb, or I would, probably understand how much reverb I need later in the process. So I always record it dry. The vocals are dry, like they have compressor, they have limiter, they have de-esser, all of these things, but they don't have any reverb or any delay when I record it. Um, when I do the playback, like in the beautiful Abbey when we shoot, the video, or the church in the All That I Need music video, there was just the playback. So we played the track as I added, in the original track, basically, that was ready to be delivered to the stores, to the digital stores. And we played basically the playback, and I did a playback. So I pretended to sing, but I wasn't singing. That is basically just the recording, what you hear, that I have recorded in my place, and it was dry vocals. Mm, and yeah, if you hear like there is a reverb that it sounds like a church, that's not the original, reverb of the church. It's all like digital effects that I have added afterwards in post production.
Yeah. A couple more questions for you, Stella. This is an amazing interview. I want to ask you, do you have any upcoming projects or releases you're excited about?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I have just produced this fantastic cover titled "It's Okay, I'm Okay," and is a new release. It is already out on my Bandcamp page, on my YouTube channel. It already had over 400 views. It was released yesterday on the 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day, and there are two tracks in this release. It's Okay, I'm Okay, and a version of It's Okay, I'm Okay that is more minimal and drum and bass. So just drum, bass, a very a lead synth. You can barely hear it anyways, and vocals. So it's very minimal, and so it's already going very well. And so it can be found on Bandcamp and YouTube, and on my website stellawembley.com, and where I have also an online store that I have created and manage. You can find all my merchandise. So you can find the digital release of It's Okay, I'm Okay, and the posters of the artwork. Those are fantastic posters, signed posters, and the limited edition. And the song, the release will be out on all the digital stores on the 21st of February. So on Spotify, Amazon Music, all of them. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited about this. And it's a cover, and the original songwriter is Tate McRae, who is a Canadian pop artist, and that I have just recently discovered actually. And this,
Interesting.
yeah, it's a very it's very different. You know, it's totally different from the original song. My version is very dramatic. It's very dark. It's very, but there is one thing in common. We are both very self-confident and sensual, and it's a very sexy. It's a very sexy version in both ways. You know, different styles. You know, she's a pop artist. I do dark pop. She does pop, basically. And so, yeah, 21st of February is going to be out. Then I am also filming a video for the song. I want it to be out. I really want to have this video out before the end of the month, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to. I'll do my best because I'm going to be abroad the next week for my birthday. So
Mm.
1 week I won't be able to film, of course.
Happy
um,
birthday.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah, for the end of the month, hopefully this video will be out on my YouTube channel. But the songs are already available. You know, the audio is already available. The posters are on my website. I have physical copies of my CDs, the first two that
Mm.
I have released, yeah, physical copies with my label, which is Gothic Empire Records. And so this is going to be great. And then also there are dates. Yeah, there are two dates. There is one date at the Fox and Newt in Leeds in May. I think it should be the 3rd of May, if I'm not mistaken. And it's on my website anyway, and the tickets are already available, only £5. And there is also another date, always in May. I believe it's the 24th or the 23rd of May. It's a festival. It's an online festival, World Goth Festival, and I am headlining. So everyone can watch for free and stream on my YouTube channel if they subscribe. And it would be a concert of like 1 hour. And there are also other artists, you know, in this festival. A lot of artists. It's like 3 or 4 days. And yeah, I'm so excited to be headlining this festival. And so yeah, this is the next release. And then of course, as I mentioned before, there is the collaboration with the Lloyd Prize, and there will be also other collaborations as well. And I think the one will be with the Glass of Mirror. There is a band that is based in London. They do indie electronic. And another one will be with the Flow Production, and he is called Roberto. He's an Italian producer and pianist, Roberto Flora, and he has already composed a fantastic track for me. It is a cover, Evanescence cover, and he did it very, very dramatic, as I like it. With this piano he played. Yeah, we are going to produce as well, like something together, probably also, you know, this cover, but also something else. And yeah, I think I have also other two collaborations upcoming, but because I am already very busy and also have my album that I want, you know, to produce, not just the one with Lloyd Price. I also have another project that is more ambient gothic, but more ambient, more dark pop ambient, where I will have songs that I have written that are about esotericism. So sorry, esoteric knowledge. So they are esoteric, there are witchcraft elements. I'm talking about all of the type of like demons, not like demons as we might imagine, like demonic presences, like sins, so how you can face your own darkness, all of this. Yeah, it's going to be like very spiritual, mystical, and the sound is going to be, I would say, ambient, dark pop, and this is also another project that I have.
Wow, that's
Very
awesome.
busy. Very busy.
Well, thank you so much, Stella. I really appreciate this wonderful interview. Um, you seem to push the boundaries of the dark synth gothic music scene very well with your visionary artistry and captivating performances. Um, and we eagerly anticipate your future projects and collaboration, knowing that you will continue to enchant and inspire us with your unique journey. Before we close the stream, who is your
I hope
ultimate?
so. Yeah, sorry, you go.
Who is your
I hope
ultimate?
so. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. Who is your ultimate collaboration? Who would you like to really collaborate with? Like one of the biggest bigwigs in the industry.
Okay. I know who I want to collaborate with. It's a dream that I have. Um, I don't know if it's a bit too much, but I'm just gonna say it. Okay. Um, I would love to collaborate with Tony Visconti because I love this production. I loved how he produced the vocals. He produced, David Bowie vocals. How he produced Heroes, as you said, and Space Oddity. I've listened to his interviews on YouTube, how he speaks about the way he produces artists. There is not just there editing the tracks or editing the vocals. He really brings out the best, um, when he is with an artist. He gives him like advices, he lists them, so that's what a big producer, he understands the artist, and he improves the artist. So I would love to collaborate with him. I think he has recently released a unique type of reverb, because we talked about reverb. um, and he's basically, yeah, replicated this reverb that he used, I think, in his previous work, and he made it digital, and it's amazing. I listened to that reverb; it's fantastic. So yes, yeah, of course, fantastic production skills, amazing listening skills, and also I would love to collaborate with Daniel Miller. I love the productions that he had made. I would love to have real, like, modular synthesizers and samples in my songs. I think that would make my sound much bigger, much warmer. Yeah, I think it would be like really a game changer. It would change everything for me. And I loved, the albums that he produced, especially. Um, I love the albums, that he produced for Depeche Mode, and Black Celebration. That is one of my favorite album ever. I love that sound. I love that sound. So these are, yeah. I think if I have to pick, two producers, I would pick them. But it's just a dream.
Yeah, you never know, it might come true. Thank you so much, Stella, for your generosity with your time.
You're
Everyone,
very welcome. Thank you for the
everything
opportunity. I really appreciate it.
everything will be linked down below, including her YouTube channel, her songs for Loving the Alien, Images of Death, and especially her single from a few years back called Neighbors. But wasting my time will
Yeah,
definitely.
that was a crazy track, by the way. That was a crazy track.
But we look forward to hearing more from you in the near future, and um, really wonderful. Thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. Okay, everyone, we're going to end the stream. Could you wait right there for 1 second? See everyone. Thanks, Stella.
Yeah. Thank you so much.